Welcome to the Rise to Shine podcast with Noelle Kustas, where we ignite the spark to discover your favorite self. It is time to get real, ladies. Hello, and welcome back to the Rise to Shine podcast. I'm your host, Noelle Kustas, and I am so excited for this episode. Truly, I am so pumped about this conversation and our guest. She was actually my very first guest on the podcast 2 years ago. I can't even believe that I'm saying we started this podcast 2 years ago. She was my first guest, and she was the one that just a couple of weeks ago I spoke of in the podcast about my quantum leap. This is my friend, my mentor, Dr. LaChelle Wieme. I am so happy for her to be here. We're kind of geeking out. Before we even started, we already started getting excited about things.
Yeah.
And I said, wait, we just have to hit record so we can do this together.
That's what happens when we get together. You never know what's going to come out of our mouths. And this is what's going to be so fun about this conversation, right?
So true. And, truth be told, before we went on our trip together, I had already booked LaChelle to come onto the podcast because I just knew. I didn't know what was going to come of it, but I just knew afterwards we were going to need to talk about it. And so here we are. And little did I know that it was going to be such a massive shift in my life. And again, you got to go back to that podcast to hear all about it. I really get into it there, but I'm just really excited that it feels like almost like a part two, or maybe even more of an elevated conversation that our audience will get to hear, because now they get to actually hear you as part of it. So it's not just me telling my story, it's us being able to just vibe off of each other and really get into some of the things that we are so passionate about. Okay, LaChelle, so let's just jump right in. For the women in our audience, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, your background, and what is lighting you up these days?
Oh my gosh, I love that so much. And I love how much we're so much alike because I say something so similar in my show that
Oh,
it's
that's
just like,
funny.
oh my gosh, like, where have you been all my life? Yeah. So I love to work with people that are high achievers. They're women who are ready to scale, they're ready to level up. And I think that many of us know what we want to do. But the problem is that there comes a point where the pressure becomes too much, that what's required at this next level, maybe it's a higher level of visibility, a higher level of leadership, higher level of risk taking or decision making. And they know what they need to do, but they start to tighten up, they start to second guess themselves, they sabotage themselves with inconsistency because their next level identity cannot hold, is not ready for what it is that they want. And it's so cool because the things that people experience in this place, it really doesn't matter if you're brand new, like ready to quit your job and go full time into your side gig, or if you are somebody who wants to take your business from 6 to 7 figures. Like, I see this without any underlining like points in your business. Like, it's that next level of leadership, that next level of pressure, that next level of who I want to become. And we say we want it, but as soon as the moment the rubber hits the road, we freeze under that pressure and our identity isn't able to handle it. And so, what I love to do is help people to see in themselves what I see in them. I think that's something that I've always known about myself, is that I see things in people, in objects, in houses. I renovate houses and use them for rentals. Like, I see things that other people can't see. And what I love to do is help people to recognize what they have inside of them and to be able to fully embrace that identity, the thing that's always been there, and to help them to use that to stabilize that new level of identity so that they are able to handle every single thing that's coming at them. And Noelle, it is so much fun. And I do that in all kinds of different ways. And I don't know how much detail you want me to get into all of that, but essentially that's what I
Yeah, no, we're going to get into it, girl, because that is
do.
exactly what you do. You have such a gift when it comes to this. And I love what you said, because this is just, I feel like this is going to be the foundation of this whole episode. Is you saw and you have seen in me what
Mhm.
I have not seen in myself.
Yeah.
And that is what has been brought to the surface in
Yeah.
the last several weeks. And we've been working on it, chipping away at this for a few years.
Yeah.
And this is, I take full responsibility and accountability for that. But what has been so fun is, like I said, it was a massive quantum leap. And that's what I
Mhm.
really want to talk about because I know that this conversation, it could take us in a lot of directions. We are always open-minded to that. But I think where I really want to begin, because I want to like I guess kind of simplify and
Mhm.
really make this accessible to
Yeah.
understand for
Yeah.
everyone. And
Mhm.
where I would love to begin is with frequency, because I want,
Okay.
again, I want people to understand it in a way that feels really grounded, not super overwhelming. And it's not about being like, woo. I think that is
Yeah.
just, it freaks people out. And we talk about this quite a bit, but it has really, again, it's just become such a meaningful part of my story lately. And then after this trip, one thing became really clear to me is that frequency is not just a buzzword, my friends. It was something that I felt, it was very real in my body. It still continues to be. I told LaChelle before the show, I said, I feel like I am just floating, and not that I'm not present. I'm fully present, but
Mhm.
I am absolutely operating at a higher frequency. So, can you
Yeah.
just explain what frequency actually means in the body in a way that people can
Yeah.
understand?
Yeah, I mean, sure. Okay, so I will break it down into like the very simple like 7th grade science version.
Yeah,
Would that be
please.
okay with you?
Yes.
And then we'll make this practical and stuff for sure. And I'm just going to give you guys a little background just to make this context a little bit more applicable. So my
Yeah.
background is actually in anesthesia. I'm a former professor and a researcher. And so when I was first introduced to frequency, I I'm always open to possibility, right? I'm always open to possibility and I'm always open to just I don't know, just I just am open. I'm open and that's just the best way for me to say it. But I also felt like I needed to prove to myself the science behind some of this stuff because I think all of us, especially that the science minded people out there, we don't want to feel duped or like going down some weird rabbit hole that has no substantiation, right?
Yeah.
And I'm also somebody that has a very strong spiritual background for a very long time, right? Like my faith has been always very strong. Mhm.
Yeah.
Especially after my miscarriage that I had several years ago, it really connected me to my faith. And
Mhm.
so if I can say that I have this spiritual side of me, then why couldn't the two of them come together? And I think that that's really where my work is applied is that science and that spirituality, how they overlap. And I think that's and I think it was Caroline Leaf, Dr. Caroline Leaf, that said this in one of her books that science is finally catching up with the Bible. And I think that it's just the homeopathic remedies that we've known for centuries and the things that we've done that have always seemed like old wise tales are actually starting to be confirmed with science now. And so just because we can't explain something doesn't mean that it doesn't work or isn't real. So I just wanted to say that real quick, okay?
Thank you.
Anyway, so basic like 7th grade science. I'm gonna get you guys to wipe the cobwebs off the back of your brain for a moment. And I want you to remember that we're taught that the building block of all things in this world are atoms, right?
Mhm.
And atoms, well, what the heck are they? Like in real life terms, atoms are really just a tiny nucleus with an electron rotating around it.
Mhm.
And when you realize that an atom is just this nucleus with atomic movement always, you recognize that the building block of everything is always in motion because the electrons are always in motion. And it just depends on how fast those electrons are moving that determines the vibration. And we measure vibration with the term frequency or hertz. And
Right.
so when we think about that's really the basic of what we're talking about. And Noelle, I would say that as it applies to kind of conversations that you and I are talking about today, they have done some beautiful research, both in the Heart Math Institute as well as MIT, on linking the association between feelings and vibration. Okay, so what does that mean in this space and how it can apply to you and what you experienced, right? So when I think thoughts that are associated with feelings of love, joy, appreciation, gratitude, freedom, I can actually feel myself feeling better I feel like my voice is a little bit faster, my tone is a little bit higher. I'm even maybe moving my hands a little bit more. Like I can tell that the motion inside of my body is faster when I think those thoughts that associate with those feelings. Okay. Now,
Mhm.
when I think the thoughts that are associated with feelings of hopelessness and sadness and helplessness and powerlessness and depression, without even trying, my voice automatically got slower and lower. I didn't move as much. It was just more dense,
Yeah.
right? And that is what happens when we think those thoughts and have the feelings of the lower frequency, lower vibration. So,
Right.
really, what we're talking about is the impact on our life, our feelings, what our thoughts are, and how our body in turn starts to vibrate in order for us to have a frequency. And I guess I don't know how far down this rabbit hole you want me to go,
Mhm.
but that's really the start of this. And there are many, many universal laws of the universe, like gravity, that help us to understand the association between, well, the who cares, the so what, between my body vibrating at this place versus what does that do or not do for
Mhm.
me in every day.
Yeah, no. Well, that was perfect because there's so many things in that that
Yeah.
I feel like we can kind of unpack with the
Yeah.
experience that I had
Yeah.
because we hear that term or just that phrase
Hmm.
raise your vibration.
Yeah.
We hear that now a lot. If I feel
Hmm.
like or at least in my world I'm hearing that a lot. So
Yeah.
that helps
Yeah.
me to understand
Hmm.
what that actually means and I just love how you are always so great at articulating this and just making it accessible and feeling like okay it's not some like thing out there
Right.
that
Right.
you can relate to it and one of the things that again I want to say as well and I know you hit on this too is that we are both women of faith and
Hmm.
we are on a spiritual journey and
Yeah.
I have to say that one of the things that I can absolutely say for certain is that
Hmm.
this experience and kind of my spiritual journey and what I'm going through operating at a different frequency
Hmm.
truly didn't pull me away from God. I and I
Nuh-uh.
and I've shared this with you. It actually has deepened my
Hmm.
relationship, my sense of what that means to me.
Hmm. Yeah.
So it's been really beautiful. And
Yeah.
so I feel like, it's part of creation for me, is really just having
Absolutely.
that lens. So I love it.
Hmm.
And this is where, just a little bit of the testimony for people that may not have heard what I spoke of in the last podcast, but definitely got deeper into this. Really, I think this is where it really became real for me because I
Hmm.
had what I can only describe as a complete internal shift on that trip.
Hmm.
There was a conversation that we had, honestly, less than 48 hours into the cruise. And literally, we were just sitting by the pool. I mean, this
Yeah.
wasn't, a planned situation. This is just
Hmm.
through conversation. And
Hmm.
this conversation completely changed how I see my life,
Hmm.
how I look at faith, and even how I see myself. It felt like, without getting into all the major details, it felt like something had just lifted. Like I could see
Hmm.
clearly in a way that I hadn't seen before. And here was the thing. Yes, it was somewhat overwhelming. I felt disoriented for a day or so afterwards,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
but it was also very peaceful. And
Hmm.
what stood out the most is that, again, it didn't pull me away from God, it brought me closer.
Hmm.
Everything felt so much more grounded, more clear. I just felt more
Hmm.
aligned. And from that moment on, and I have chills just sitting here talking. I feel like I've been just living in chills for 2 weeks now. But from that moment on, I just felt different. Like how I was thinking and responding, how I was
Hmm.
carrying myself. I don't
Hmm.
even feel like when I look in the mirror, I don't even feel like I look like myself anymore. The way that I saw
Hmm.
myself, okay, and I am not going to get emotional, but I don't see myself the same way. And again, I got into a lot of detail about that, but that is truly, because I filmed that podcast like 2 days after I got back. I wanted
Hmm.
it to be fresh and I really wanted it to be there. But here we are almost 3 weeks out, and
Yep.
I am still feeling this way. And this is why I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, this was a
Hmm.
quantum leap for me. This
Hmm.
truly was what that was. And so I would just love, just to kind of get your reflection on that. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
what
Mhm.
actually happened in that moment
Yeah.
and how where
Mhm.
I'm at now.
I love that so much. And I think that what's so powerful about it, Noelle, is that I've had a similar experience. And if I hadn't had that experience, I feel like I would have been, like, okay. And so I just, if you guys
Right.
can take anything, I want you to listen to both of us with two very independent experiences that have very similar things that have happened. For me, it was just like that. I had some really big energy shifting. And what do I mean by that? It meant that I had really deep conversations. I had a fork in the road in a moment where I could have chosen to pull back into an old identity, but instead I chose to rise into who I want to be. And then had all these conversations that supported that. And I literally had this shift that almost felt like you said, I saw myself differently. I saw the world differently. I even felt like the thoughts that I had, the fears, the limiting beliefs that I've had my whole life didn't even feel like mine. They felt like somebody else's that I empathized with. That's the best way for me to describe it. And so I feel like what a cool gift that I had that so that I could mentor you through that, right? And this is what's so cool is that I when I came back from my vacation as well, I had another week after you left, and I keep quantum leaping. I keep having these same experiences, and I'm bringing other people through these experiences, which you got to have a couple days ago.
Yeah.
So fun, right?
We'll talk about that, I promise.
And so my point there being is that this can happen to you too. That's to all of you guys. That's why I'm going with that. But this is what I have chosen to believe based on lots of different things that I have been researching, reading, listening to help me understand all of this stuff. And really what it comes down to is Albert Einstein and his study of quantum physics. Quantum physics is really at its very most simplistic definition, the study of atoms. And he found that when he studied atoms versus collection of atoms, like a ball that I throw in the air is going to fall, we learned that from Newtonian physics that it's going to fall because of the law of gravity. Albert
Mhm.
Einstein realized that when you studied mass, a collection of atoms, they behaved differently than when they were studying the atom at its simplest form. That it wasn't as predictable. That it wasn't as this is going to happen. It was very complex. And what he discovered, and several scientists since Albert Einstein have discovered, that it really comes down to observation. And then I'm going to try to not make this too complicated, and it kind of a little bit blows your mind, but just going to say that observation of something is what allows for a wave to collapse into a particle. And scientists have been able to determine that in the quantum, things are both a wave and a particle at the same time. Like, I'm like, I don't understand what you mean by that. But basically, what that means is that when you observe something, it collapses the waveform into a particle and it creates the form in which I experience. Okay. So, what that means is that in the quantum, there are an infinite number of possibilities in
Okay.
which I can observe. And
Mhm.
when I observe a possibility, it collapses into particle and it becomes my reality in that space. Okay. So you and I have had a life, an experience at
Mhm.
the frequency that we have been operating at.
Yep.
Now, when you had your experience, so as you allowed your body to accept these new ideas, and I say accept because you have always known. And
Mhm.
that's what I want you guys to understand is that it's not like Noelle learned something new. She remembered something that she's always known. And I
Yeah.
I root this in Romans 12:2, which is not do not be conformed to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So that you may know your good and perfect will, or his good and perfect will, right? What that
Mhm.
means to me is that we all have this statue of David. Michelangelo was quoted as saying that I saw the angel within the clay and I carved until I set him free.
Mm.
We have this beautiful statue of David within us, our core being of who we are, who we've always been. And that when we're born, we forget, and the world, the programming, the things add essentially the clay on top of our statue of David. And our job is to chip away at it to remember who we've always been. And that's what
Mhm.
you were doing in these conversations, right?
Yep.
So as you were remembering and as you were feeling those feelings of love and joy and peace and gratitude and freedom, you consistently kept raising, raising, raising. And as
Mhm.
you were raising into a new frequency, you were exposing yourself to a different possibility in the quantum. And as you do that, it's almost like the way that I describe it is that you're like the radio's tower and you're sending your signal to the station. And you've been
Mm.
at a
Right.
specific station because you've been at a specific frequency, but now you literally just turned into a different frequency to a different station. And you're experiencing a version of you that has been waiting for you in the quantum, who already has some healing done that needed to be done, that already has insight, that already just knows, that is more confident, that is more just in line and with your authentic self, that is remembering what you're capable of, that remembers the truth, which is that you are loved, that you are the creator within, because God is living through you, and all of these things. And the more that you start to remember,
Mhm.
the more that things start to just make sense without you having to force it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
experienced that, right? It was just like, and I've always told you in this journey as friends and as me being your mentor and your coach, that don't take what I'm saying for face value. I want you to
Right.
ask yourself what feels good to you, and asking yourself, even if you don't understand it, does this feel true?
Mhm.
Does this feel true for me? And that's literally what I've done this whole journey, is just letting that be the next breadcrumb and the next breadcrumb, the next crumb. I'm like, I can't understand this. So God,
Mhm.
help me understand this, but this just feels true. Am I on the right path? Yes. Okay, awesome. I'm going to keep going down this path. And so that's
Right.
what you did. And all of a sudden, Noelle, your frequency is literally was just turned up to a different dial to allow a different wave to collapse into a different particle form. And so there's multiple versions of you that
Mhm.
already are experiencing what you want to experience, that already know what you want to know, that are already having the life that you want. It is just a matter of turning up the dial to get to be able to tune into that frequency and allow that particle to collapse into your reality.
Yeah. I love that. I love that because you're absolutely right. And I think I even mentioned it at the beginning of the podcast is that
Mhm,
I feel like it has been, yes, in a way. I mean, some people would say it was like chipping away at, to who I am now.
mhm,
So I love that analogy of that because I just feel like, wow, that really feels, it just really resonates with me.
mhm. Yeah.
Um, but it is also a remembering because
Mhm.
just as
Yeah.
you said, I
Mhm,
have always known. And that was part of
mhm.
our big conversation as we were digging in and we were just
Yeah.
really like being vulnerable.
Mhm,
And I was just sharing with you
mhm,
through many tears and laughs and all of the things that I was like, oh, I kept doing that. Like it was like, oh, that's why I felt this way. Or, oh my gosh, that experience, that's exactly
mhm.
what that was. And
Yeah.
oh my gosh, it was just I feel, I mean, it almost is like a dreamlike state in a way because when I
Mhm,
go back to that, I can remember it so beautifully and I can remember maybe not the exact specifics of what we talked about, but I can
mhm.
absolutely feel those
Yeah.
moments of when I was like, yes, oh my
Yes.
gosh. It was like color. The only way I can explain it is it's like you're living in a space of, maybe some black and white, gray, you've got some color, and all of a sudden there's just color that is coming
Mhm. Yeah.
into your vision, and
Right.
you're like, whoa.
Mhm.
And
It
yeah.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. And I think that, like, I believe that I am a spiritual bot in a physical body. I'm a spirit in a physical body. And when you
Mhm.
think about that, like, the body is dense,
Yeah.
right? It's lower vibration, but spirit is higher vibration. And I wrote
Yeah.
about this in my book like years ago, which is so fascinating that it's like it just keeps revealing itself. But I wrote about how I believe that when Jesus taught the Lord's Prayer, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven, he was helping us to understand that we can experience heaven on earth now. And what
Mm,
did he teach? He taught us to forgive. He taught us to love. He taught us all the things. He taught us how to get ourselves into the higher frequencies: love, peace, joy, gratitude, freedom. And
right.
as we do that, we bring ourselves closer to God frequency and
Yeah.
further away from the dense physical of this world frequency, right?
So
And
good.
so that's why you felt like things were in color. That's why you felt more alive. It's your spirit being able to shed some of the denseness
Hmm.
of this physical life, because being here on earth, in earth school, right, on earth is hard.
Right.
It's hard. Many of us would be like, I just feel like I want to go home. I don't know if you've ever felt like homesick for heaven, but I felt
Right.
that way.
Yeah.
And it's just this, that you were able to get to that place where you were able to remember more of who you really are, and what you've always been.
Yeah. No, gosh, I love all of this. And I'm just going, my brain is just like, what do I ask next? Because like there's so many things that I'm thinking about as you're saying that, because I think that one of the things, because I do remember I remember
Mhm,
listening to your podcast. I remember when you had this like really major experience, and
mhm.
same, I remember listening and going, okay, that sounds so fascinating. And there were things that I could relate to, but I was also like, I don't know if I've ever really experienced that. And
Yeah. Mhm,
so, but what I have also recognized is
mhm,
that I was tapping into the understanding
mhm,
of operating at a higher frequency and really,
mhm.
being making a decision. And this is what I would love
Yeah.
for you to chat, kind of talk about too, is like making a decision that I wasn't going to be, if I was having a
Mhm,
bad day, it was not like, oh, I'm having a bad day and I'm just going to continue. It's, how I feel like in my past, I would have been
mhm,
like, well, that's just the start of my day. I break, if I spill milk and then I'm going, well,
mhm,
that's how it's going to be for the rest of the day. This is just going to be a bad
mhm,
day. That was
mhm.
my thought process. Like that
Right.
was just, oh, just my luck, like
Yeah,
all
yeah,
of those
yeah.
things that I would
Mhm,
say. And now by understanding this more, and this has been in the last several years,
mhm,
understanding that just because you have a moment
mhm.
that is hard or maybe didn't go as planned, it doesn't mean that has to be the rest of
Right,
your day. I can literally change that. But
right.
I would love for you to just kind of talk about, people that are going, how do I even start to tap into my energy or raising my frequency without
Yeah.
overcomplicating it? What are things that people could
Oh, of
start
course.
to do?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I want to just pause for a moment and
Yeah.
acknowledge something that you said, because I
Okay.
think that this is going to help answer your question. You
Okay.
said something like around the idea of, yeah, I've always resonated with that. How many of you guys have said that before? Like, I resonate with that. That is energy, friends. Resonating with something is you resonating, your body, your frequency resonating with the frequency of that other thing, that you are in alignment with
Mm,
that same
so good.
frequency. So when I don't resonate with that, it's literally like there's a gap between myself and that thing, and whatever, it doesn't mean good or bad. It just, I'm not resonating with it. And then as you grow, you're going to find that you're resonating with more and more higher level things because it
Yeah.
feels good. Does that make sense? And that's the law of vibration. And as you mentioned before, with the whole, like, I spill my coffee and my whole day is going to, go to pot, recognizing that that is a thing too, right? Like, and when I am in that funky mood, when I'm crabby, like, more reasons for me to be crabby, just keep coming into my day, right? Because I'm resonating with other things that are at that same frequency. But when I'm resonating with things that are lighting me up, that are making me feel alive, that are challenging me in a good way, I'm resonating with high vibe people.
Yeah.
Because here's the deal, friends. Like, if you're a high vibe person, you will repel somebody who's a low vibe, does like high vibe hater. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you're just too full of joy. Okay, good, good. I'm glad that the universe is helping us to not attract right now. Because I mean, for real. And
No,
so it's like,
I have to
she's
just
just
I
too
mean,
happy all the time. Like,
I
God,
have to
thank you.
LaChelle, I mean, this is the honest to God true story, and I don't know if I've even shared this with you before, but my step grandmother,
Hmm.
actually, she was my step great grandmother. She unfortunately was diagnosed with Alzheimer's many years ago. I was in college when she passed, and I am not kidding you when I tell you she, unfortunately, with that disease, sometimes you can get a little ornery,
Yeah,
and
you
she
can.
definitely got a little ornery. But me in particular, she would tell my grandmother, and she would like poke me with her cane. Like she just did not like me. And she would say, I don't like her. She is too nice. Like something's wrong with her. She would tell that to my grandma and
Yeah.
say that I was too happy and that, like, it just absolutely she did not like it at all.
Hmm.
And so anyways, it just makes me giggle every time I hear that because I go, "Oh my gosh, she was literally repelling me
Yeah.
because she did not like my energy at
Right.
all."
And that's good. Like that's a good thing, guys. And I mean, I'm sure that we can all relate to it might even been, us, a few years ago, or maybe it's you now. I
Right.
probably not if you're listening to the show, but that you just like find yourself with more bad luck over and over again. And you keep
Mm,
finding yourself in similar situations and similar people treating you the same way and all these things
yeah.
like friends, that is you resonating with those things. And so
Mhm.
if you don't want that experience anymore, you get to choose. I believe that this is a beautiful thing that our free will is our superpower and we can
Yeah.
always choose, right? We can choose our thoughts, we can choose our attitudes, we can choose our actions. And so you can choose if you're willing to bring your vibration up to all of a sudden you'll start to see and notice and resonate with things that are of that same frequency and you'll continue to rise up. So you
Yeah.
would ask me, I'm like, well, how do people do that? I think number one is the awareness of it. Like, okay, holy crap, I've been living in that paradigm. So maybe I just need to like realize that I am attracting all that crap to me and I'm
Yeah.
not going to do that anymore. And this is where I
Totally.
geek out because everything that I do is bound in this beautiful, I don't know, mixture of quantum physics, brain science, and scripture. Like I just love because when the three intersected for me, everything started to make sense because there's so much overlap in all three. And so
Yeah.
brain science is also can predict a lot of the things that I'm talking about too. But
Mhm.
anyway, so I think that the awareness is first off, right? And then recognizing like I get to choose again. But I also think that there's a couple of really simple things that I do to help me with that. One is every night before I go to bed, I have a practice where I purposefully think about things that happened that day or in my life in general that make me feel love. So I'm like, okay, well, what makes me feel love today? And I think of my family, right? What makes me feel joy? And I think about what gives me joy today. Right now, I'm looking out at the lake and it's sunny and it's beautiful out. Like that brings me joy.
Mhm.
Love, joy, peace, gratitude, freedom. Those are the highest vibrations that we can have. And so when I think about things and I allow myself to bathe in the feelings of those things,
Mhm.
more things that I will experience to cause those feelings will be brought into my awareness because I'm at that frequency. I'm resonating with those things. And
Mhm.
that's what's been happening for you as well, right? Is that
Yeah.
you raised your vibration and now all of a sudden you're experiencing new things. I also want to just say when it comes back to your experience that I think a lot of people, it's easy for us to get into this habit of problem solving.
Mm.
And what happens is there's something that we want to figure out, and then we just focus on the problem and we analyze the problem over and over and over again, right? And I'm going to give you an example. So I had quit my full-time career in anesthesia to do my coaching stuff.
Mhm.
And I wasn't loving my day to day. Like something was off, something was misaligned. And I'm like, this is not what I thought I was going to be. And I remember just like trying to figure out what is it? What is my thing? What is my passion? What is the program that I really can just dive into? And I was praying about it. I was analyzing it. It was like if you think about this as a problem, I was like coming at it from every single angle I could possibly think of. You know what I'm saying? Meanwhile, the solution was literally waiting for me at just a different frequency.
So good.
And it took me going out to this beautiful family vacation through Colorado and Utah for 2 weeks and experiencing the most joy I could possibly enjoy. And I just was having the time of my life. And literally, my program that I've had ever since, just came to me like a download out of nowhere because I was just vibrating in a frequency that aligned with it.
Yeah.
And I came back on a Saturday and I had already had a launch planned. And if you guys are entrepreneurs, you know that launches are a lot of work. And
Right.
I had been promoting this launch and I had already something else that I was planning to use this launch to bring people into. I
Mhm.
changed the entire game. I changed the entire game and I decided to launch this new program 2 days after I had the idea. And it was a six-figure launch like that. And so I just want you guys to understand that it doesn't have to be hard. It's just a matter of getting yourself to the frequency that you are aligning with the thing, right? And so then what happens is, and you've been experiencing this, Noelle, for weeks now, where it's
Yeah.
like you'll send me messages. It's like, oh my gosh, like out of the blue, I got this message and I met this person and this happened and this happened and this happened. Because it's always been there.
Yeah.
It's always been there, but you haven't been at the frequency to resonate with it. And so
Mhm.
now you are, and all of a sudden, these people that you've met, they're not newborns. They've been walking the earth.
Yeah.
They're in your
Yeah.
community.
Yeah.
They've always
Yeah.
been in your community. But do you know what I'm saying? But now you're ready and
Yeah.
you're at the frequency to be able to hold that. And that's the thing. Like once you allow yourself to let go of the forcing and re-engaging yourself with the frequency of the problem and allow yourself to simply, and I know this sounds too good to be true, but just bring yourself to the frequency of feeling things that bring you love and joy and peace and gratitude and freedom. All of a sudden you will find that ideas will just come to you out of nowhere, that conversations will just be like, oh my gosh, I just had this conversation, it blew my mind. You will meet people that you're like, where have you been my whole life? And I
Uh-huh.
remember when I thought about Spiral Up, my program, I was like, how did I not think about this before?
Right.
Because
Right.
I wasn't
Wasn't
ready for
ready.
it.
Yeah.
I wasn't lined with that yet. And
Mhm.
that's the thing. And that's what I love helping people do is not only get you to that frequency, but helping you stay there. Because this is the thing, you guys, is that a lot of
Yeah.
people say they want this. I have found in my experience, and I don't know if you have as well, Noelle, but people are more afraid of success than they are failure. And it's like if I say I want this business, I say I want this life, but then it means that I might have more pressure. I might have a busier schedule. I might have more leadership. I have to hire people and then I have to deal with that. And maybe it means I have to be more visible and more consistent and all the things. And so we sabotage ourselves
Yeah.
because of that. So you say you want it, but are you at the frequency where you can sustain it, where you can hold it?
Yeah.
Because you can get there momentarily, but you're going to come back down. And this is
Right.
what Noelle's experienced is getting there and
Mm.
staying there.
Mhm.
And that's the power.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And that, I mean, that truly is what it is I have felt glimpses, and again, this goes
Mhm,
back to, I think, that chipping away, and
mhm,
I have tapped into, and I love that you shared that of, just some different things that we can do
mhm.
to tap into our own, our own energy and our own frequencies and how
Yeah.
we're operating, because I think that is so important. And you're absolutely right. I said I need to have like a notes to LaChelle on a daily where I'm just expressing what is happening. And it is definitely something, even when you were talking about your program, that is an experience that I have had as well. Is I have had my glow up school for the last year. I literally have put it on pause. I was supposed to launch it in January again. Originally, back in January of 2025, I was so excited because I thought, oh, once I do this for a year, it's going to be so much easier to do it the
Mhm,
following year because it's already built and I just have to
mhm,
tweak a little bit.
mhm.
And then all of a sudden in January, probably about mid January, I go, I'm not supposed to do this. It's not supposed to look like this, but I don't know what it's supposed to
Yeah.
be. So I
Yeah.
just put it on pause.
Mhm.
Well, ever since I have been back, it's like all of a sudden I'm going, oh my gosh, it's all starting to come to me.
Uh-huh.
And it's, I'm building out the idea and
Mhm.
I'm allowing it to just be in a space of freedom, of going, I am open to the possibilities, just like we've talked about. I'm open to the
Yep.
possibilities. I know I'm operating at a higher frequency. I'm
Mhm.
operating in love and the joy and all of those things. And I'm just allowing for whatever is going
Yeah.
to be downloaded
Right.
to be downloaded. But
Mhm.
I absolutely know that it is going to be a whole new experience for women.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's the fun part. That's the fun part. But I also know and feel
Mhm.
really good that I can now carry that.
Yes.
Because now as you were even talking, I go, huh, that's so fascinating because even though I thought I could carry it all last year,
Mhm.
I really wasn't able to.
Mhm.
And so it's exciting, it
Mhm.
definitely is exciting. And I definitely want to hit on because this is something that I think is so important. Your work has expanded. We definitely went through, or I should say, I was able to go through an experience, and I would love for you to talk about. I definitely want to get this in here because I think it's so important what you're stepping into right now because I have the opportunity, like I said, to experience this new practice that you're developing. And
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
so freaking powerful. And this just happened a few days ago.
Uh-huh.
So I'd
Yeah.
love to just kind of let you have the floor to just share what it is, what you feel comfortable enough to talk about
Yeah,
right
no, no,
now.
I
And
I totally want to. I mean, I am like an open book, but
okay,
I want to like put
you
this
can
back on
you
you.
can ask me questions.
I want you to tell us what your perception was,
Mhm.
what your experience was like, and what it happened to you. And then
Yeah.
I'll be able to give you the background of why that happened. How about that?
Okay. Okay. Fair. Why did I have a feeling you were probably going to do that? So we had talked, and one of the things that we really were landing on quite a bit was how your desire is
Mhm.
to not just focus on, and I think we even talked about my own daughter
Mhm.
talking about this too, about she's getting a master's in clinical psychology, and she had
Mhm.
said, I don't know if I want to sit in a chair and talk about people's problems and traumas all of the time and regurgitate that
Mhm. Mhm.
constantly because I just feel like this is a 23, almost 24-year-old talking.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
like geeking out, going, oh, girl, there's so much more for you, sweetheart.
Yeah.
But she's just remembering it all herself. And she is saying how I don't know. I don't think I'm built for that. I don't know if I really want to do that. And then you had been expressing that you were like, rather than being in that space, what if we move forward and let's look at what that possibility could look like. And
Yeah.
I'll let you kind of get into that a little bit more.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
experience is you and we were together like this.
Yep.
And basically, you walked me through something that first we got very grounded, and it was a visualization. This is the best way I can explain it,
Mhm.
putting words to it on the spot, but it felt like, it was this visualization, but it was actually like really tapping into me and into some versions of me
Mhm.
from my past and then also my present and my future. And all I can like what I shouldn't say all I can say because I can say a ton of things, but what I absolutely would want to share is that it was one of the most profound experiences, and I felt like I almost had, well, and maybe I did another kind of quantum leap in my space. Actually, I did. I mean, when I'm really thinking about this, I for sure did because what happened is I was able to bring me all together. And I got to
Mhm.
see myself in a way that I went to even a higher level because again, when LaChelle and I had this experience on the cruise, one of the
Mhm.
things that I talked about in my podcast was my body image and how this has been a chain that I've allowed to like really hold me down. And it's been a big deal in my life. Well, That chain broke on that cruise. But what happened in this experience is I got to take it even further. And I was able to see myself. And this is why I say I look at myself in the mirror right now and I don't even see the same person. I do not see the same person. I am not, I'm just not the same person. I'm just not. But I got to experience seeing myself in such an expanded way, like just
Hmm.
but it was very real. And again, I'm probably not even articulating this the best. And what my biggest image that I keep taking away with me, and I knew this was going to be, and girl, look at what I'm doing right now. Stop it. Sorry, this is just a moment. One of the things, okay, this is wild. Oh my gosh. One of the things that came up is that in this space, I kept raising my hands. And LaChelle was like, watch, you are going to, this is going to be part of who you are. And look at me. I'm like, whoa. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm just having like a geek out moment because oh my gosh, that is so crazy. I looked at myself on the Zoom and I was going like this
Uh-huh.
unintentionally, like not even, anyways. Okay. So that was part of it. But what I was
Hmm.
going to say is I was embracing the version that I saw of me in my past and my future. And I'm not even talking as a little girl. I'm talking like I saw myself in a way past, whatever that means. I don't know. But then I saw myself in the future, and the future meaning like in my lifetime. And I just remember all three of us like embracing. And it was the most beautiful experience I had ever seen because not only did I release so much from that, but it was like I also literally felt like I had grown like inches taller.
Yeah.
I just saw myself so differently. And it's like for me, it almost felt like I actually tapped into my soul. I wasn't looking
Hmm.
at myself as a vessel anymore. I was looking
Hmm.
at my soul and feeling my soul. I, it was just profound. And I released so much. Like, I felt like it was kind of like the 2.0 of like, it was just like
Hmm.
taking it to the next level of what I had
Hmm.
experienced on that ship,
Yeah.
and then
Hmm.
taking it to the next level and focusing more on what's ahead of me as
Hmm.
opposed to what has been behind me and the traumas and all of that. I
Hmm.
don't even know if that makes sense to you. I hope it does.
All of that made sense to me. So, and
I hope you
I
can make
just love
sense of it to the
that's
audience.
that's why I just like love this the raw conversation around it, right? Because sometimes
Mhm.
it's hard to articulate it, and that's what I absolutely love is to hear everybody's own perspective of what's happening with this.
Mhm.
And so like you know, I've had downloads before and I just probably wasn't ready to hold that space. And when I came home, you know, as you know, I was on a week vacation before you and I went on the cruise, and then I was on a
Mhm.
week vacation after our cruise. So I was gone for 3 weeks solid,
Right.
visited 6 countries in 3 weeks, and all tropical, amazing, beautiful, like who has this life kind of thing, right? And I was able to have my own shifting in this place because as I was flying back, I was thinking about this. It's like, what do I want my life to look like when I get home? What am I excited to experience and what am I not? And it really hit me that I've had this pull to really go down this identity work that I'm doing, but it hadn't been the right time. And it was like instantaneous when I asked myself, if you could get home tomorrow and do anything, what would it be? And it's like my identity sessions. And I had my first one that afternoon. She had a profound experience. And I've just been doing these for very close clients of mine to allow for myself to refine this process. And girlfriend, like they have consistently been out of this world amazing. And
Yeah.
essentially what I've done is I've taken the download that I've received as a different way to think about things. And it's crazy because even the way that I have approached my current clients, it's different than I did 6 months ago. Because
Right.
in the past, I would always look at things like you say you want to do this, But there's always a but. We all have big butts and a kind of lie. So there's always like these buts in the way, right? I would
Mhm.
get on stage, but I need to lose weight. I would do this, but don't know what to say, whatever
Yeah.
the case may be, right?
Yep.
And so I was always like, okay, well, what is holding you back? Let's look at the but and let's figure it out. And I
Mhm.
was able to get additional training, and I can do this subconscious beautiful work that allows us to get to the root cause of the moment the limiting belief is formed, and then we neutralize it energetically and release it, and we bring in the seed of truth. Beautiful technique. But there was something in my spirit that was like, this isn't it. There is a better way.
Mhm.
And I just kept leaning into it. And all of the things that I knew just kept coming together. And just like I was telling you, when we have a problem and we analyze the problem, we're just realigning ourselves with the frequency of the problem.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the solution is existing. It's just at a different frequency and I can't see it yet. Right.
Right.
And so I'm like, why are we in the personal development space focusing on discovering what's wrong with us and
Right.
why it's wrong and how to fix what's wrong, because
Mhm.
all we're doing is realigning ourselves with what's wrong.
Right.
And then where our attention goes, our energy flows. And then we wonder why we're stuck in the same freaking loops, getting
Mhm.
a little bit of progress and then coming backwards and all the things. And I'm just like, it just, something was off. And then it
Yeah.
just like dawned on me that I get to focus on the solution. I get to focus on the desire. I get to focus on the identity that I want. And because I have experienced this and I have now helped every single time I have one of these sessions, I see it with people. It is
I
freaking
bet.
blowing my mind that I'm
Yeah.
able to take them to this next timeline,
Mhm.
this new version of themselves that's just at a different frequency.
Yep.
And when I do that, I change the source code is basically how I'm going to describe this. Okay. So what does that mean? It means that in the personal development space, we oftentimes will work on the downhill process that stems
Mhm.
from identity. Okay. So what does that mean? Our thoughts have impacted our feelings, right? Our feelings impact our actions, our action impacts our results. We've
Yep.
learned that, you've learned that, I've taught you that
Totally.
probably, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's true. But the problem I have with it is that it's so it's like building the house on sand versus on rock. It's like I can go into each one of those sections and I can say, okay, my results aren't what I want. So I'm going to look for a new shiny object. I'm going to look for a new strategy. I'm going to use a new
Mhm.
script. I'm going to use a new social media strategy. I'm going to use blah blah blah. And we
Right.
focus on the numbers, we focus on the results. And that's not sustainable. Then
Mm.
what happens is we'll look at, okay, well maybe I just need to change my actions, so I'm going to get a new planner. I'm going to start to work on a more discipline. We try to work on our doing, our actions, right?
Mhm.
We might work on our feelings and our thoughts, and try to capture our thoughts and to use affirmations and all of these things. You guys, I teach and I still do them. But if
Right.
that is what you're putting all of your focus on, it's still going to be shaky, because this is what happens. The results impact all of the rest of that stuff, and it becomes either a positive or a negative feedback loop. So I could say have what I'm doing is working and I'm having results that I want. And that makes me think, okay, yeah, I got this. I like this. And then I feel
Right.
good. And then I act in accordance to that. And then I had the results, right? But the
Yeah.
moment that my results aren't what I thought they would be, the moment something takes a little bit longer, the moment that somebody doesn't buy my product, the moment that somebody
Mhm.
doesn't interact with my social media posts, the moment that my husband says, hey, I thought you'd be making more money by now, like whatever the case may be, the results then make you think, well, maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe I need to look for something different. Maybe I need to go back to work. Maybe I need to whatever. And then I start to feel crappy, bringing myself down a little vibration, right? I probably don't do things as consistent or with as much heart or whatever the case may be. And then I literally have created a self fulfilling prophecy. So
Yeah.
anytime we focus on any of that stuff, it's a very fragile framework that isn't sustainable. But
Mhm.
if you can go to the identity and get to the frequency of the best version of you in that identity and
Mhm.
operate from that, everything else downhill is in alignment with that. And you start to see yourself operating at a completely different identity, a new frequency, a new life. Your behaviors are different, your thoughts are different, the way you interact is different. It is unbelievable. And then what I do is I call them an identity recalibration treatment, and it's a like a 1 hour session like what we had, and we
Yep.
shifted that identity really fast. And
Yeah.
then I teach you some daily synchronizing frequency
Mhm.
practices that are going to help you. And then of course, like and it's so funny, I think I told you this, which is blowing my mind, but and I expect it, but it's
Yeah.
like everything that I've built, it's almost like it's been waiting and ready for this because the
Mhm.
community that I have inside of my Spiral Up program is
Yeah.
literally the recalibration chamber and container that I have for people to keep them at this higher vibration.
Right.
And so I'm like, "Oh, awesome. Well, that's already ready to go." So I bring people up to this new identity, and then I
Yeah.
have all of these tools to keep them there. And then all of a sudden, you
Yeah.
start to behave differently, you make different decisions. You look at fear differently. You look at
Mhm.
following through differently. I mean, I want to know, like, from your downward response of how have you been behaving differently since this?
Well, the one thing that is like the physical noticeability for me
Mhm.
has been the way I literally hold my body
Mhm.
in a stance of just I feel like I've very much tended to be kind of like hunched down a little bit more, kind of, and again, not even like consciously, like
No.
it's so funny because I've even had to adjust my zooms because
Oh, I love that so
I
much.
even had to adjust them because I'm like, oh, like sitting up so much taller now. And so, anyways, that's been
Yeah.
like physically very noticeable for me.
Mhm.
Um, but I also I think for me, it has been this awareness. Again, it's been a lot of an awareness of what who I am and what I am here on this earth to do. It's almost
Mhm.
like this revealing that's happening to me,
Yes.
even though
Yes.
I've known, again, it's like that inner
Mhm.
knowing, like I've known. And I think I even expressed this to you maybe a while back.
Yeah,
Here's the
yeah.
best way to say it. A while back, I think I expressed to you that I had been feeling like I was, if you paint a picture, it would be me with a fence and me
Mhm.
like peeking over that fence, like just going,
Mhm.
I know I'm supposed to like jump. I know I'm supposed
Mhm.
to be on this other side of this fence. And I'm like there. I've like spent the last couple of years just like crawling up that fence and getting the courage to do that. And
Mhm.
now I'm like here.
Yeah.
And LaChelle, I have freaking jumped off the dang fence, and I just have this confidence that has come
Mhm.
out
Yeah.
that I'm like, I think I've even, I mean, I was ready to do a post right before we hopped on today, and it was me starting out with like, pinch me right now because
Yes.
I recognize myself, but
Mhm.
yet I'm still in a pinch me phase where I'm like, but what I love in what you did is you
Mhm.
did give me tools and you
Mhm.
gave me and we've been using some tools together for a while now too.
Mhm.
And so with that and then some additional practices, I feel like it feels
Mhm.
sustainable. It's not something like, oh,
Yes.
I'm just riding on this high right now and then
Yeah,
I'm going to
no.
crash and burn. It's like,
Yeah.
no, this is where I am and I am still expecting that I'm not finished. Like
Yeah,
this is
no.
where I'm
Mhm.
at and
Yeah.
yes, I've jumped and I'm seeing the world in a different lens,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
I am just getting started with
Uh,
whatever
yes.
is in front of me.
100%. And I think that what you said is so important that I want to acknowledge that oftentimes it is not even, you guys, like the way in which you do things differently. It's literally the being that allows for things
Yes.
to come to you. And I think that is what so many people are craving. And so many people, I think, promise things and it feels like too good to be true. But this is what's so fun is that I've gotten to witness this over and over again because I understand the science of frequency and it makes sense to me why you're experiencing this. Same with, Sarah's somebody that had one of these experiences as well. And she said, LaChelle, I feel like my downloads are coming faster. I have so much
Yes.
clarity. And she's like, I have
Clarity.
ideas and like just the way that I'm processing things and articulating things is so much clearer. Like it's not so mumbled.
Can I
And
give you
it's
an
like,
example? I would love to give
yeah,
you a quick
yeah,
example of that
please,
because that
please.
was a noticing that I had. I was in a container in a networking group, but it was a Q
Hmm.
and a session.
Yeah.
And the coach in there was describing some different things and
Hmm.
answering questions. And LaChelle, I'm not even kidding you when I tell you, by the time I got off of that call, I was like, oh my gosh, I have like, and I'm not exaggerating, I had like 10 to 15 pieces of content that I was like, I need to say this stuff. I need to create this right now because
Hmm.
it was just like ideas were just coming to me. And I was like,
Yep.
and again, I was going, why didn't I think of that before? Why have I not said that before? And
Yeah.
it was just, but it was like so fast and it was so clear. It was pretty wild. And so I spent that time, I was like, I'm going to put this out there,
Hmm.
because I need to get this out there and record this now.
Hmm. Yeah.
And, I can drip it out. But it was really interesting because
Yes. Yes.
I haven't felt that free and
Hmm.
that clear in a very long time, if ever.
And the other thing that you mentioned too, like the way that you hold yourself, and that, I mean, I remember you telling me that you carried yourself differently. Your energy was different on a
Mhm,
call, and the
mhm.
coach picked it up, and she's like, basically, I want to gift you this sound bath because
Yeah,
your energy is contagious.
right.
And I'm like, that stuff is going to happen more and more and more. And the thing is that this is, and I don't want to bore you guys with like all of this other nerdy science, but there's something called heart brain coherence. And what that means is that Noelle's energy in her biofield is being perceived by your brain. Your mirror neurons can pick up on somebody within 1/10 of a second on whether or not their energy field feels stable and safe and trustworthy, or if it feels disordered and unstable and unsafe. And you're drawn magnetically to people like that. And so this is why, like, without you doing anything more than just being you and the way that you carry yourself and the way that your body is literally vibrating, I'm just going to say it that way, that other people's brain is picking up on this magnetic version of like, I just want to get to know her better. And again, I teach people all the time, it's not what you do, it's who you are while you do it. When you're
Yeah,
at this different frequency, you hold yourself differently, you carry yourself differently, you make decisions differently. It's and all of these things start coming into you easier than it ever has before. And it doesn't even have to feel hard. And that's what's so freaking fun about it.
yeah, yeah. That's what it has just been very fun. It has been very fun. I've even noticed that since I've been back cruise, my husband and I have a chemistry and a connection. I mean, we always have. We
Yeah.
we definitely do. But I have noticed, like,
Mhm.
even just his attraction to me has shifted. And I, again, it's like,
Mhm.
other than a great tan that I came back physically, it's like there is a noticing. And he has
Mhm.
verbalized that. He has showed that to me. Like, it
Mhm.
has definitely shifted for
Mhm.
us. And
Yeah. Yeah.
that's just been like something I've been like, whoa, that is
Yes.
fascinating.
If you feel attractive, you are attractive.
Hmm.
Right? If you feel unattractive, then other people pick up on that energy. You
Yeah.
guys, like, there's so many layers to this. And this is why during the identity sessions, I actually help people to be able to follow the puppet strings of how this impacts your professional life and your relationships and the way that you make decisions, the way that you handle uncertainty. All of these things are tied together. And
Hmm.
so one thing impacts the other, and it's just so fun. It's so fun.
I know. And I'm going, oh my gosh, this is so fun. I feel like every time I get with you, I know we can be here for hours. And
Yes.
I'm just going to tell my audience this will not be the first time that you are hearing LaChelle in my world. I know that there is more to come, and I literally just wanted you to be so blessed by her and her knowledge and her impact. I mean, I truly, and what I love is that LaChelle, and she mentioned this at the very beginning, through your experience with LaChelle, it all goes back to, it's not about It's not about her being a guru. It's about
Mm-mm.
her being a guide on this journey for you, and that she always brings it back to you. And so that's the part, and I think that's something that I have always loved about so many, I shouldn't even say so many, because there are some that I feel like put themselves out there as the guru.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I have loved tapping into women that are absolutely the opposite of that, and
Mhm.
they just, there's just so much love, and they're just in their purpose. And LaChelle, this is your gift, this is your purpose in the world, and I just am so grateful that I get to be a part of that. And I feel
Aw.
like definitely, as we're living life and as we're on this journey, we find our tribe, and it is that energy we put out there and the energy we start to attract in. I'm seeing that more and more and
Mhm.
understanding that more and more. And I'm just so glad that you're a part of my tribe. And I'm like, oh,
Same.
we have the same birthday. I mean, there are so many things. Like, we can go down that whole rabbit hole, but it is fascinating. But I just love you. And I am so thankful that you were able to just really bring to light some things that I have been wanting to talk about to my audience, and you're so great at articulating all of it. So I would just say, I would end with a couple of things. First, if there's one thing that you would want someone to take away from this conversation, what
Mm.
would that be today?
And well, I love that. I think that you just set that up at the end of this conversation is that you guys just remember that you are your own guru. Like you have everything within you that you need, and that it's literally just can you tap into that version of you? Can you remember the power within you? Can you allow yourself to connect with the spiritual part of yourself that has all the answers and start to trust that?
Mhm.
And I promise that things can turn around for you. And that's what I wanna say. I don't know. I do. I just think that you're all so beautiful inside, and I wish that you could see yourself the way that I see you from the soul perspective. And there's no stopping us. There
Yeah.
really isn't.
Totally. I love that. And then for anyone who wants to connect with you, learn from
Yeah.
you, experience this work with you, where
Yeah.
can they find you?
Absolutely. So I think I'm just going to make it really easy for everybody. And you can find me just with my name. So LaChelleWieme.com. I'm at LaChelle Wieme on all of the social media things and YouTube and all the things. My podcast is a Spiral Up podcast.
Yeah.
And I would absolutely love to invite your audience to experience something with me. So I have these conversations, they're called Align and Grow conversations. And what I can do, you guys, is so unbelievably fascinating is that I can, within a 45-minute session, be able to determine what are your subconscious blocks that are preventing you from tapping into this higher identity, and I can help you shift that. And so if
Mm,
that is something that you're interested in, head on over to my website and get yourself on my calendar. Those spots are limited because I'm a very busy person, but I absolutely love helping people have these shifts. And so I'm going to invite you guys all to experience that. And Noelle, I just love you. You know that you're like my soul sister. We were supposed to be on this journey together. And I just am so grateful that we had a chance to have this conversation and recap on the things that we've done. And I'm just so proud of you. And it's so fun to listen to all of your shifts. And I hope that you guys are as inspired by her as I am. So thanks for letting me
oh,
be a part of this.
yes, absolutely. And like I said, I know this will be the first of many, actually the second, because you have been on the podcast before. You've also
I
been
have.
inside of Glow Up School, and we just have more to do on this earth. Thank you so much for being here, LaChelle. This was such a fun and powerful conversation. And then to everyone listening, I just hope that this opened your mind and your heart in a new way. And of course, as always, keep rising, keep shining, and always remember the best is right here waiting for you today. All right, we'll see you next week, friends. Thanks for joining me here today. Your presence means the world to me. If you enjoyed what you heard, please consider leaving a rating and review, and don't forget to follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. Head to the show notes and let's connect. Rise to Shine Co. is ready to support you in coaching, collaboration, life tips, or even a coffee chat. Until next time, keep shining, my friends.